Hello, hello. Um, we're going to read chapter 32 in Genesis. And I don't know if there's a lot to say about this one, but maybe you know more about what to say on it than I do. Um, but I'm just going to share as we go along. Oh, I wanted to show you my sourdough. So if you ever want to start a sourdough, you can actually name your sourdough. So, and then you put a rubber band right where you have it and then watch it grow past it. So you will know how much it grew. And and you can name them and you can use them for anything. You can use it for pancakes. You can use it for anything. Okay, so this the a little summary is Jacob sees angels. He asks God to preserve him from Esau, for whom he prepares presents, for whom he prepares presents. He wrestles all night with the messenger of God, and Jacob's name is changed to Israel. So that's, we brought something that you can name. He sees God face to face because this is actually a sourdough start. Um, its name changed because of what it's becoming. Isn't that interesting? And then since it's mine, I can choose to also name it something. Um, as in giving it a pet name or something. And so we'll go on. Verse 1. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Now, when I say verse 1, sometimes I won't go and tell you that I've changed verses. I'll just continue to read. And every now and then I will tell you what verse I'm in so that we're on the same page. So that if you're trying to catch up or you're lost your place and that kind of a thing. So I throw in there every now and then what verse I'm on. So we're on verse 3 now. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded, you know what, it's kind of a fun thing, but you could go and you can say, in verse 3, it says that Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, Seir. And I'm signing it because if you're reading my lips or something, you might spell it Ceir or something. So, and Edom, Edom. So if you look at what countries, you could probably Google what countries those are now. Um, verse 4. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. Laban is Jacob's father-in-law. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servants, and women servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. Now, if you remember some chapters back, Esau and Jacob got into it, so to speak. Really, Esau had a little bit of, got really upset with Jacob. And Esau has a temper. Esau has a temper. And so Jacob's returning home. You might think, why would you want to return home to someone that you think might kill you or beat you up, right? So he's calling him my Lord right away. He's saying, you're the head honcho guy, but really he's not. Really, Jacob's the birthright person and received the birthright blessings, not Esau. And particularly the reason probably God did that was because Esau is the way he is. Um, and 6, at the messenger's return to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. So you stop and you might say, is he coming? Well, you don't need 400 men to slay Jacob, but maybe he's coming to help him bring his stuff in. $400 is a lot to help them bring in. Maybe he wants to slay them all and figures it's going to take that many to do it. So, I mean, you're going, what's going on here? So, or you could, that's a lot. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him and the flocks and herds and the camels into two bands. I think it's interesting that they say two bands because it's in Native Americans, they'll say Native Americans have bands, right? What band are you from? What this and that. And I think in Scottish and, Celtic things, they have that too, right? Anyway, verse 10. I am not worried. Um, uh, in verse 8. And thus, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. How about we just turn around right now? Verse 9. And Jacob said, O God, my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal with thee. So God told him to go home, and he's going, hey, you told me to go home. Help me, 10. I am not worthy of the least of these mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become two bands. 11. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. Esau, they're really afraid of Esau. Some people have a sibling or a cousin like this. Maybe someone lives down the street from you like this. You don't want these people in your neighborhood. And I can see why he would have left. I mean, I think the dad, you have a son like that, you should just kick him out of your property. This is all your property. You're not allowed to come to this property. And if you do, your head will be on a platter. No, you know what I mean? I'm just saying you are not allowed to be on this property because you're nothing but a danger to everyone. I mean, if people are fearing you and they think that this is not below you to do something like this, and he's going home because God told him to. So maybe God wants him to resolve this with his brother because I think he really loves his brother, and his brother may not love him and he may love him. But just his temper gets the best of him. I don't know. Okay. But Jacob is clearly scared of Esau. In verse 12. And thou saidest, I will surely do thee good and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. So God promised Jacob a huge posterity. And if he kills him now, he could have them. He has some kids, but if he kills the kids, he's not having them, right? If he kills him and the kids. In verse 13, and he lodged there that same night and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother. So he's presenting presents. Now think about this. Some people might have said, well, I'm just going to have faith in God. I know he said I'm going to have this huge posterity. So that means that Esau is not going to kill the kids and him, right? He's not going to do both because he's got to have this someone to create this big posterity. And so in some ways, by God telling you that, he's letting you know that you're going to live longer because you say, well, I only have 2 kids. If he kills all 3 of them, that means that one of the kids might have a gazillion and it spreads from there. Or if he killed the kids, he would still have them. But whatever, he doesn't want anyone killed. He loves his kids, he loves his wife, and he doesn't want any of his bands killed, any of the people that work for him, anyone. He doesn't want that drama, that violence. And verse 13, and he lodged there the same night and took of that which came to his hand and a present for Esau his brother. So he has a present. He's trying to schmooze him over. Some call it brown nosing. Some people try and call it favors, um, whatever. Kissing up to the teacher, right? Whatever. Do you see this in politics now where, there's a gift given, there's this given, there's that given, anyway, or in jobs. And sometimes it's very sincere. And Jacob does love his brother, and he doesn't want to be killed. That's pretty sincere, right? So 200, verse 14, 200 she goats and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams. And 15, 30 milch camels with their colts. That means they have boy babies. And 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she asses, and 10 fowls. That's a lot, right? Fowls are girls, asses are donkeys, bulls are male, probably cows, right? Because you also call moose bulls, and you also call elk bulls, the male bulls. So anyway, so it can be any of those, and who knows whatever else, but it's a male for sure. And males are usually for breeding and a lot of eating. And the girls are usually saved for the milk, or the girl animals are usually precious. And this, besides just being an animal that people care about animals or as a pet or whatever, they're also useful for their milk, and milk becomes butter and cheese and yogurts and curds and things like that. So these are the values that's within these. And bulls also help you work the land because they pull, but so can the cows, the females. But the bulls have that testosterone still in their body, and they're more aggressive. And so if you can get them harnessed, then they help you work the land pretty good. So so there's, and fowls are birds, right? And anyway, we can go on why they're so important. Turkey and chicken manure is so good for your garden. Plus, they eat the insects, the pest in your garden. So, and plus, people like to eat them. And their feathers or ornaments, or you put them in pillows, whatever. So there's a lot, these animals, whether you are vegan, vegetarian, or whatever. Um, 17, and he commanded the foremost, saying, well, see, verse 16. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob's. It is his present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. He's really going to try to make friends with his brother. Just think, his brother may have sent the men out there to steal it all. And if he sent it all to steal it all, well, now he doesn't have to steal it. It's given to him, and it might create a different feeling about it all. It's kind of like, have you ever, I used to carry milk bones in my pocket because there's so many dogs around here. And I drive up to people's homes, and they have dogs, and they don't have them on leashes. They don't have them in the house, and they don't have them in a kennel. They're just running around the yard. And sometimes they really just run up to you. And I think, that's scary. And sometimes they run up to you like they want to eat you, like they want to bite you and attack you. And I just figured out, and then another part of me also loves the doggies. And I think, oh, someone has a dog, I'm going to give them a milk bowl. It'll make them so happy. So I blended the two together. I kind of mished them two together. And what I started to do is keep milk bones in my pocket, little ones for a little dog and one big one for a big dog. And whenever a jacket pocket, and whenever I would go somewhere or on the side of my door, car door, if dogs came, they would get so confused because they're running at you or taking a walk. They get so confused because they're ruff, 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 after you, ruff, 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 ruff. Then I take the bone and I would go, oh, and the dog's like confused. Am I chasing her or is she calling me? So she must not be my enemy. She's calling me, kind of a thing. I don't recommend you do it. This is what I did. And then I throw a milk bone at them, and they were like so happy. Or I show them a milk bone, and they're so happy, like she's my friend, and she whistled, and it just would completely make me feel better, and it would make them feel better. And I could also just toss it away from me if they're getting closer than I want, and I don't know who it is before the owner comes out. I can toss it away and have them go that way, and they kind of think they're doing fetch sometimes. It's completely confusing for them sometimes, but I make a friend. And so this is what we see Jacob doing. He's kind of confusing Esau because Esau might have been thinking he's going to steal from him and do all this stuff to him, but now instead he's like going to be gracious probably and go, oh, thank you for these presents. Look what my brother is giving me. He's come home and he's giving me all these gifts and all this stuff. So in verse 18, then thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. It's interesting. You hear this word, my lord, a lot, and it's just a common word in the scriptures unless it has capitals. So this one's a lowercase, to my lord Esau. All the letters are lowercase, Lord, all lowercase. And if it's about Jesus Christ, you'll see capitals. If it's about Heavenly Father, you'll see all capitals. And it's interesting because when people say, oh, Lord, people think, oh, they're saying something about Jesus Christ. They're not. There are many Lords. Jesus Christ says that in the scriptures, right? There's many Lords, right? And there's Lord so-and-so. If you're in Scottish, you're a Lord because if you own land. If you own land, you're a Lord, right? But not the same kind of Lord, not the same level of Lord. So we don't have to feel so crazy about the word Lord, but I probably wouldn't use it. I don't tend to use it as, a common word. But anyway, I'm just saying. Okay, we said 18. Then thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob's. And so now Jacob's saying, I'm your servant. They be thy servant, thy servant Jacob's. So he's saying all these servants belong to your servant Jacob. It is his present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so he's telling everyone, call, this guy is kind of over me, kind of. And so commanded he the second, the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, on this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And 20, and say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face, peradventure he will accept me. And 21, so went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And 22, that means he slept overnight with them in the same camp. They made a camp. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. 26. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. He said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. So this is kind of an interesting thing. We can go back. If you remember what we said before, is they used to put their hand under the thigh because the thigh kind of represented your loins or whatever, you know. And so that was the most appropriate place to the loins to touch. And they would, it's like someone sitting on your hand. So if I'm sitting on your hand, you don't have any, you're kind of defensive, you're more humble, like I got your hands. I got your hands. You can't hit someone, you can't, it's kind of destabilizing them. The other person whose hands are under the thigh are in submission. They're taken. And so they're kind of swearing an oath to them. But let's see. And Jacob was left alone and wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. So he's wrestling with someone. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh went out of joint, and he wrestled with him. So Jacob may have sprained something. You know how people dislocate things. 26. And said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go. Except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. So Jacob is wanting this blessing. It's Jacob, I guess, right? I have to go back and really read it again. So I don't know who the man is, but it seems that Jacob was wrestling with someone, and this person wanted a blessing from Jacob wanted a blessing from this man. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he says, so whoever this man is, some man came, everyone left, and someone came, and he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. But it's interesting because Jacob he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. I'm going to have to go back and read that because I didn't read it before. I have heard of this already and I've listened to it before, but I need to sort that out. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore it is that thou dost ask after my name. And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. So this is an interesting scripture, and we know that part. When they give this, when someone wants a blessing, or if someone makes an oath, they will put their hand under the thigh as to say, I'm submission to you. And So it gets confusing the way the wording goes, because it looks like the guy's asking for a blessing from Jacob. And then it turns out Jacob is the one wanting the blessing from the man. And you think, well, who is this man? Hold on. We said, I will appease him. Yeah. And you go to, let me see. And Jacob was left alone, and he took them and sent them over to the brook. And they went over to the brook over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there he wrestled with the man. So I don't know if he saw the man and said, I'm going to be alone with this man. I'm, or, go over there. I want to see what this man wants or what. But clearly, Jacob wanted a blessing from this man. And it says that, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And for some reason, this man is reaching for Jacob's thigh, and maybe to say he's loyal, they're making a covenant or something, and Jacob's like, no, you're going to give me a blessing. I'm not, So anyway, that's interesting. But we can see that he gave him a new name because Jacob's taking on something new. And here you don't hear what his name is, and you probably already know what it gets changed to. But remember, I put 2 ingredients together, and it turned to sourdough. And the 2 ingredients aren't the name of the sourdough, but I can also name it. And when I cook it, it's going to be bread. You can have a lot of names that have a lot of different meanings. And in some Native American cultures, you get this born name, and then later on you have a ceremony and you get another name. And this other name describes your personality or your character and things like that. And it kind of tells people your personality or character just because this is your name. So they know what kind of person to watch out for or what your personality is based on that name. Another thing is some Jewish people now, you might look this up yourself, get a name too from a mitzvah, or, it's a change of a name because it's a life-changing thing comes about, or they didn't get a Jewish name um, from their parents, or something like that. And it's also my understanding that Muslims do too. And I don't know if this is true completely. I have looked it up and I don't remember where I heard it from. But that when they visit Mecca, when they go to visit Mecca, they get another name. And or when they convert to Islam, a lot do get a new name, an Islamic name. And it's interesting that in different cultures we see this. So it's not so unusual to get another name. And we know sometimes parents will give their kids nicknames. But Pumpkin and Cookie are probably not the kind of nicknames, that tell your personality or something. I don't know. But these other ones kind of have a transitional point to them. Anyway, let's see. And I'm pretty sure okay, so that's the end of that one. And let's see, what else do I have? Anything else? Well, oh, I was going to say there's LDS people. You know that you receive things when you go into the temple too. And a lot of people believe they need these names for the afterlife. A lot of them. So that's interesting, and that's something you could do research if you were interested in. But anyway, I will see you in 33, Genesis 33. Thanks for joining.